Bibles to Judges chapter 14. Christian is kind of an intern with us this summer and doing a fine job. Certainly appreciate him. And Jennifer, who's rather new to singing with our choir out front, she did a good job this morning too. We're so blessed with people who can sing praises to the Lord. All different styles, but they're all effective. Something for everybody, we call it. On Sunday morning, we have began a sermon series from our Making of Champions series. Before we looked at John the Baptist many weeks ago and all the messages on John the Baptist, who was a champion for Christ, not a chump for Christ, but a champion for Christ. All those messages are on our YouTube station. I think there's about 6 or 7 of them. And then last week we started looking at another champion for God, but he's a rather unusual champion. In many ways he's problematic, he's enigmatic. His name is Samson. If there was anybody in the Bible that was God's Superman, the head of the Justice League of God, it was Samson. He was the total package, as Lex Luger was years ago in wrestling. And yet, he made stupid choices. A smart man that made stupid choices. Last week we looked at the backdrop of Samson. I told you to go back and read Judges 13. Today we're now going to move forward and see how this man, what caused him to fall. Judges 14, verses 1 and 2. Again, the title of the message, When a Smart Man Makes Stupid Choices. Now, as I read these first few verses, I want you to see, as you're looking at your Bibles, whether it be your phone Bible or your hard copy Bible, I want you to see if you see anything about words that are there, because God uses words. Every word's there for a purpose. I may kind of help you out a little bit with pauses or nuances as I speak, but I want you to see the downfall of Samson, how it began. Judges 14, verse 1. Now Samson went down to Timnah, and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. He went up and told his father and mother and said, I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines, and I want her as my wife. Then his father and mother said to him, Is there no woman among the Hebrews, among the Israelites, among the daughters of your brethren, among the people that you are part of, that you must go and get a wife from the uncircumcised, pagan, demonic Philistines? And Samson said to his father, Get her for me. I do not want to discuss this. I do not want to debate this. Dad, just go get her. I saw her, I want her, she pleases me. Few men who have served the Lord in the Bible had the potential of Samson. He was a 5-star in talent, a Hall of Famer in potential, and a generational blessing. You just don't see many like him. In fact, there's only one like him in the entire Bible. His birth was announced by an angel to his parents. His mission was foretold before he was ever born. His parents were godly. They walked with God. His ministry was empowered by God's Holy Spirit. And his life was endowed with God's favor. Samson had it all. But he ended up going from a hero to a zero. from triumph to tragedy. he blew it. Let me say that again. He had it all. The hand of God was all over his life. He was enlightened mentally by God Himself. He was enamored in his heart with love by God Himself. He was energized physically by God Himself. He was empowered spiritually by God Himself. He was God's Superman, brought into this world to set God's people free, particularly those that were captive to the Philistines. And he blew it. You know, God has a special place for you, a special plan, a special purpose that only you can fulfill. Will you blow it? Time will tell, I suppose. In Judges 13 through 16, we see Samson's story. It's a story of bad choices. But I want to remind you of something. Samson's story could be our story. The Bible's not just a book about the past, it's a book about the present. It's not just about then, but it's about now. It's not just about what was, but what is. And we're going to see in the weeks to come, Samson, and even today, Samson made some bad choices. The quality of your life is largely based on the choices you make. And God gives us freedom to make our choices, but He doesn't give us the freedom to opt out of the consequences. You are free to do whatever you want to do. And God is not going to step in and stop you. But God is neither going to step in and stop the consequences of your choices from taking hold. And Samson made bad choice after bad choice after bad choice. He battled with overwhelming temptation. He had trouble with anger, unforgiveness, revenge, lust. He wouldn't listen to anybody. He was a know-it-all and a done-it-all. You ever met somebody like that? You can't talk to them. They know everything. They've done everything. He rejected all counsel. He ended up with wasted potential, destructive behavior, and tragic death. And some of you are going that direction too. God's speaking to you today, using the story of Samson to get you to think about your story and how it will turn out. Because Samson's don't turn out real well to the end, but it cost him everything. So let's look at some of Samson's choices real quick. In Judges 14, verse 1, we see that Samson went to a wrong place. Everything has a beginning. Things just don't happen. They have a beginning. And Samson's beginning of bad choices begins with verse 1. Notice what it says. Every word in the Bible is inspired, infallible, inerrant. It's God placed for a purpose. Now Samson went up to Timnah. Is that what it says? When you think of up, you think of things that are heavenly. You think of God. He didn't go up. The stress was made that he went down to Timnah. When we think of down, we think of things that are demonic. We think of devilish things. We think of hellish things. Samson went down to Timnah. Saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Now Timnah was a Philistine location. You might call it a town, probably a small city perhaps. The Philistines were the arch enemies of the Hebrews. They did not get along. They were constantly engaged in conflict. The Philistines ruled over the Hebrews. God had sent Samson into the world to deliver His people from the Philistines. Samson is now probably a teenager, maybe 15 or 16. And he goes to the Philistine town of Timnah. It's a place that's filled with idolatry, immorality, and iniquity. The alcohol flows in Timnah. Promiscuity abounds in Timnah. Pagans cuss and fuss and boogie all night long in Timnah. Lifestyles are dark and demonic in Timnah. Timnah was Satan's stronghold. If Satan had a stronghold on earth, it was in Timnah. And it was there in the devil's fortress that God's man goes. Are you listening? God's man chose to go to Satan's stronghold, to the devil's fortress. Why would he do that? That's like you and I making a choice to go to San Francisco, to enter San Francisco. It wouldn't make a bit of sense. Why would somebody washed in the blood and clothed in the robe of righteousness want to go to a place like that? Why do we go to places sometimes we have no business being? Second thing I want you to see. We're talking about wrong choices. So Samson makes a wrong choice concerning the place that he's going to go. Secondly, Samson went for the wrong reason. I'm going to answer the question I asked you. Why did he go to Timnah? In verse 2 and 3. So he went up and told his father and mother, saying, I've seen a woman in Timnah. I've seen a woman that is of interest to me. She's one of the daughters of the Philistines, and I would want her to be my wife. Mom, Dad, I found who I'm looking for in the devil's stronghold. I found who I'm looking for in Satan's fortress. I found who I'm looking for amidst all of the alcohol, amidst all of the dope, amidst all of the promiscuity and immorality. I found who I'm looking for among all the lying and cheating and stealing. I have found who I'm looking for in this place of darkness. I found the one that I want to marry. I have found my partner. I have found my companion. I found my wife. I have found me a Philistine brick house, a Philistine knockout, a hot mama, a 36, 24, 36. I have found me a Philistine woman that's wild and crazy, slinky and sexy, curved and stacked. Dad, you ought to see her. My blood is running hot for her. And I want her to be my wife. He hasn't been there probably but a few hours. Samson is driven by hormones. He's driven by lust. And when you allow sin to make encroaches into your mind, you will not think properly. You'll think like a fool. And when you allow Satan to have access into your heart, he will ruin your heart. Love has nothing to do with it in regard to what Samson wants. It's all lust-based, hormone-driven. I want that, and I'm going to get her. You know, usually if you're going to marry somebody, you might want to talk about values and virtues with them, right? I mean, just have a little conversation. He had none. You might want to talk about education and experiences. Do we have compatibility mentally, morally? What are your beliefs? Do you have any beliefs? What are they? And let me share my beliefs with you. And what are your behaviors? And let me share my behaviors with you. Do you want a career? Do you want to raise your children? How many children would you like to have? Do you know the God of the heaven? Do you have any kind of relationship with Him? Any kind of worship with Him? Wouldn't that be obvious? You'd ask those questions. He didn't ask a one. He just saw what he wanted, and he made arrangements to get what he wanted brought to him, and he got his mom and dad, or tried to get them to do it. Samson allowed sex to drive his decision making. Samson allowed sex to drive his decision making. And because of that, he was going to drive his life into the ditch and die tragically. What drives your decision making? What drives mine? Because some of you are looking at me and say, well, sex wouldn't have got me. Lust wouldn't get me. But greed would, wouldn't it? Chance for gold, silver, cash, CDs. Or maybe what would get you would be an opportunity to move up. If I just do this, I'll have a big house and I'll have me a nice car and I'll be able to go to the country club and do this and do that. Samson, he made the wrong choice in regard to where he should be, his place. He made the wrong choice further by the reason why he went to that place. I wish I could tell you he went to pass out tracts. Or that was his mission field, to tell people about Jesus, but it wasn't. He went there to consume his lust. Choice number 3, wrong choice. Samson listens to the wrong counsel. You know, his father and mother tried to tell him, son, don't do that. He dismissed them. Verse 3. His father and mother said to him, this is their reasoning with him. Is there no woman among the daughters of your brethren? Samson, you're an Israelite. You're a Hebrew. There's lots of beautiful girls in our village, in our community. Why don't you choose one of them? Why do you need to go to Timnah? Why do you need to choose for you a Philistine wife? You have nothing in common with her. You're light, she's darkness. You're salt, she's decay. You're of the Lord, she's not. Son, she's not no good for you. Please, son, find a girl here. And he dismisses them. Look at verse 3. Get her for me. Dad, would you just politely be quiet? Mom, cut out the hysterics. I've done chose who I want, and I get what I want. Get her for me, for she pleases me. Well, again, he's driven by emotion and by lust and pleasure that comes from it. Samson's parents try to talk with him, but he won't listen. Samson had a problem with arrogance. He had a problem with haughtiness. He had a problem with pride. He had a problem with childishness, immaturity. I get what I want. But people tried to talk to him. You know, whenever we're about to do something wrong, God will always have people there to try to speak to us about not doing what we're thinking of doing. You might say that's accidental. You might say that's coincidental. You might say that's luck or chance. I tell you, it's God sending people into our lives to try to talk us out of doing things that we shouldn't be doing. Samson's parents tried to talk to him. His grandparents probably tried to talk to him. His Sunday school teacher probably tried to talk to him. His youth pastor tried to talk to him. Police officers and judges who were in the community probably tried to talk to him. God Himself tried to speak to him. But nobody could change his mind because he wouldn't change his mind. But you always get counsel. Pay attention. You say, I don't want to listen to that group. That's fine, because you'll listen to another group then. Everybody listens to somebody. Who did Samson listen to then? His pagan friends. Oh, Samson, you got to have a little bit of fun. So his friends spoke to him. They patted him on the back. They encouraged him. There's always people that are pagan people who will encourage a man or woman of God to do wrong. God sends people to help us do right. Satan sends people to encourage us to do wrong. Maybe celebrities talk to Samson. Celebrities have the faces of angels, but the morals of alley cats. They probably said to Samson, it's okay. Inmates may have talked to him. Thugs may have talked to him. Punks may have talked to him. The playboys of that day who eat, drink, and marry, grab for all the gusto they can. The losers told him. The deadbeats told him. The goofballs told him. Oh, Satan sent a variety of different people. And what mom and dad said, Samson, don't do, they said do. Samson, you're the captain of your ship. You're the master of your destiny. Be your own man. You're the boss. Have fun. Eat, drink, and be merry. Grab for all the gusto you can. You only go around once in life. Live it up, Samson. You can be a straight and narrow dude when you get into 30s. But right now, you a young man, you deserve everything you're doing. You know, Proverbs has something to say. It's called the wisdom literature because it's wise. And in Proverbs we read these words, fools die because they will not listen. Fools die early, tragically, because they will not listen. Are you listening? He who listens to the stupid will do badly, says the writer of Proverbs. There's nothing wrong with wanting a wife if you're Samson, but there's everything wrong about the way he was going about it. I'd like to just pause here a moment and give you some right things to look for if you're planning to get married. If you're already married, I can't help you. But if you're not married, I want you just to listen to these 4 little principles that will help you not make a mistake like Samson is about to make a mistake. When it comes to marriage, we certainly don't go to Timnah. We certainly don't go to those kind of places, bars and nightclubs, looking for a wife or a husband. We don't do that. What do? First of all, we marry only a believer like ourselves. Like faith marries like faith. If you claim to be a Christian, man or woman, your spouse, whoever you choose to marry, needs to have a like faith with you. They need to be a born-again believer too. I cannot tell you the tragedy that comes when a Christian marries a non-Christian. The Christian will be pulled down and never realize their potential all the days of their life. So you marry a Christian, number one. Pastor, I'm thinking about getting married. You marry a Christian. Secondly, you marry someone who is approved by your family. You say, Pastor, you're an old dinosaur. People don't do that anymore. There's nobody who will love you more than your mom and dad. I promise you that. Unless it's your grandma and granddaddy, because they love you too. And they want you to have the best of life has to offer. That's what parents and grandparents do. They want the best for their children and grandchildren. And that's why if they don't approve of somebody that we're interested in or dating or going to marry, we better think twice about it. Because they have no other agenda but us. And love can be blind. Greed and lust can cloud one's thinkings and feelings. And if your mother says to you, son, I'd be very careful about this girl you're seeing. I just don't feel good about her. You ought to listen to her. And girls, if your dad sits down and says, I don't think this boy is the right one for you, you better listen to him. Thirdly, marry a Christian. Marry someone approved by your family because they believe they're good for you. Thirdly, marry someone with the understanding you can't change them. Because many of our ladies I'm going to speak to our ladies because they're the ones who do this. They look at that man and they say, if I just get him as my husband, I'll love him, I'll cook for him, I'll give him a bath, I'll do all this stuff for him. I'll change my man with my love. Oh, so optimistic and so positive and so upbeat. Who can fuss at you for that? But just one more quick word. It doesn't work. You can't change anybody. And you're foolish to think you can. All the love in the world will not make a mule into a racehorse. And some of you ladies marry mules thinking that your love is going to change them. And when you get them, you find out it doesn't. They only get worse. And then you're caught in a trap. Please understand that you can't change them. Now, if you marry them knowing that, that's on you. Marry someone with the understanding, I get what I see, and they will not change. They may get worse, but they're not going to change unless the divine intervention of God takes place. And I can be faithful, I can be loving, I can cook them 3 meals a day, I can wash and iron their clothes, I can do this, I can do that. It doesn't matter, they're not going to change. Fourthly, seek counsel about marriage before you agree to marry. I get people all the time who want to come to me for marital counseling. But they've already made the decision they're going to get married. They've already told everybody they're going to get married. They've already sent out the invitations that they're going to get married. They've already paid for a caterer. They've already paid for a place. Why come to me for counseling? I mean, we could meet together and I could tell you that this man you're going to marry is Jack the Ripper and you're going to marry him. Because you've already went out and told everybody you're going to get married. You're not going to put any egg on your face. You've already put thousands of dollars out of your pocket. You're not going to lose that money. You're going to do what you want to do. The marriage counseling is just fluff to say that's what we did. Does that make sense to you? Marriage counseling, the purpose of that is learning about each other and learning about marriage and learning about life and determining, are we a fit? Not that we are a fit and we're going to get married. We just want Pastor Jim to okay it all. Or Pastor Sam. So Samson didn't do any of that, obviously. And that brings us to the last wrong for today. We'll pick up the last 3 next week. But Samson, wrong place, wrong relationship, wrong woman for that relationship, will not listen to the counsel. And in verse 7, he continues in the wrong relationship. You think that after thinking through it a little bit, he would see what his parents are trying to tell him, but no, he only gets worse. Verse 7, then he went down and talked with the woman. That's funny. He says, I want her, hadn't talked to her yet. No conversation about anything. He's just drooling. Like a dog looking at meat. But I guess if you're going to marry, you better go say something to her, right? So verse 7 says, he went down and talked with the woman. And she what? Pleased Samson well. Second time that phrase is used. Why does he stay with her? Because he's hormone driven and lust based. Lust is a temptation. Samson could have fled from that temptation. The Bible says to flee youthful lust, but he didn't do it. He could have fought the temptation. Fight the devil, resist the devil, and he will flee. But he didn't. He could have faithed the temptation. Faith is the victory that overcomes the world. Faith says that what God has waiting for me tomorrow is better than what the devil's giving me today. Faith is all about patience, that God will keep His word. And faith can give us victory over temptation. Fighting the devil can give us victory over temptation. Fleeing from lustful things can give us victory over temptation. Samson did none of that. He followed the temptation to the very end. The Bible says there is a way which seems right unto a man, but in the end, it's the ways of death. So Samson made 4 bad choices in a very short period of time. Next week we'll see the other 3 that he made that would seal his fate. 4 wrongs can never make a right. Guy asked me one time, he said, Pastor, if I keep doing wrong, will it ever turn right? I said, no, sir. You plant the seeds of wrong, you're going to yield the harvest of wrong. Samson would not listen. He wasted his life, and he died a tragic death. Are you listening? There's somebody who loves you that's talking to you about something. Are you listening? Are you just blowing them off? Because after all, you're smarter. How about you? You got somebody listening, speaking to you, to you, to you? You got an advisor, a counselor that God has brought into your life that is warning you, encouraging you, urging you to make good choices, Bible choices. Are you listening to them? In closing, a man stopped his car and asked the man directions to a nightclub called Hell's. The man said, well, let me tell you where you're at right now, sir. You're on Heaven's Highway. Go a little bit further down and turn right and you'll be on Redemption Road. Stay on Redemption Road till you pass Calvary Baptist Church. You'll know it's Calvary Baptist Church because they got a big cross on the front yard. And they got a statue of Jesus on the edge of their property. And when you go by that, turn right. You'll turn right. And there, Hell's nightclub will be. And a little dark place back on the left. When you make wrong choices, God will put a lot of things in your path to try to turn you around. But some of us drive right on by. Drive right on by. And we perish. Remember, as I close, this is not just about Samson's story. It's about yours and mine. Heads are bowed and eyes are closed.